Hello everyone, this is Alireza. If you recall, in previous episode I found a bug that when I'm creating a new node, one of the nodes gets deselected, and I was pulling my hair to know where is that bug is being introduced. And here it is in graph utils. When we are creating the graph, creating the node, and then I'm checking if schema selected node does not equal to null, I'm setting to be unselected. Well, when I was developing this, I was dealing with only one selected node. This is not the case anymore. So here we need to do a check if schema graph dot selection node dot count is oh well, wait, it shouldn't be happen here. It should happen here because I'm removing it from the selection node at the same time. So if selected node does not equal null and schema graph dot selection node does not equal to null and schema graph dot selection node dot count is less than 2, means it's either 1 or 0. Okay, then what we want to do is doing this. Let's see if that's the case, if this solved anything. There we go, and let it reload itself. Now if I select a bunch of these guys and I click a new node, you just notice that it's added to the collection and I didn't lose any other node from being selected. Now one thing that I think is the problem, I'm showing this icon here, but I think if I close Unity and rerun the Unity, yeah, you see we lose that icon. I'm not sure what is going on here. If I load the graph again, you see that I lose the icon again. So that's a problem, isn't it? Why is that? And of course I don't get any errors here popping up about null reference or anything, so I'm not sure what is going on. Let's drag that one on and it will be inside the node schema GUI. Okay. If icon equals null, do this, and that is exactly what is happening here. Okay, so looks like my icon is not being serialized properly, although it should. So my only other option is to find my node schema. Is it here? Test node schema. Icon equals to this at initialize. So I'm assigning the icon when I'm initializing the node, and of course, yeah, well, it shouldn't be the case, you know. Let's see if I select any one of these schemas. T schema, test node schema. Huh. That's the tree. Okay. So elements, we don't care about inputs. We don't care about outputs. Yeah, you see the icon is input, is not being serialized. I think that's the case because if I create a new one, and that's this guy, type mismatch. Oh. Huh. Is that the reason? Well, icon is texture 2D and this guy is texture 2D. Well, I can remove that part from there and put it here, although I'm fairly sure it will be a problem. Let's see if that's the case. If I'm okay, so I will create another node. It's this one right on top. I will close Unity. I will rerun Unity. And it's losing its icon, so that's not the problem there. Okay, I asked the question and Unity answers, and up until someone comes with some solution, I found something. My node schema is calling unserialization callback receiver. It means that when I'm going to deserialize, I can call the initialize here, and that initialize will eventually call disinitialize from here. Okay, but look, icons equals to that, and when I will close Unity and rerun it, I get a null reference exception. It means that this guy becomes null. At least I think that's the case. Okay, so let's convert it to a property, and I will say get return this guy. Okay, so it should solve it, I think. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see, build solution, go back to Unity, and I still get null reference exception. So if test node equals to null, we say that test node equals to that no, we can't do it like this. Okay. No. Control C, and now we can make a private one. Static read only with underline T. Underline T. Underline T. Okay, and then we finally return underline test node. Okay, that was a derp moment from me. Let's see, now it says use that. And what you now? To expression body to help build solution. Okay, I need to delete this guy. Come on, delete the whole graph. Thank you. Create a new graph. Add a test node. It shows. Of course, I will still have that type mismatch. But the question is, if I close the Unity now, if we run the Unity, will it now deserialize properly? And no. Ah, come on. Well, you know what we can do is, I don't like this. I really don't like doing that. But what we can do for time being until I get a response is that convert this to byte array. Okay? And then coming back here, I will say icon equals to this dot get no dot get row texture data that returns a byte array. Okay, then when I'm gonna draw it wherever it is, I really hate doing this. Now that won't be a proper thing. Well, I can make a non-serialized, not private, but let me think. Where I'm drawing this guy. Here, okay, it's the same stuff. Okay, so we can say it's private. A texture to the, and we call it icon with lower I. Then when I'm gonna draw the GUI, where was it? At the start of everything, I will say if icon equals to null, then I will say icon equals to texture to the dot, let me see, no, equals to new texture to the, now that won't work. texture 2D load. We don't have it. Icon dot load image. There we go, from icon. Okay, and when I'm drawing this guy here, I will use the lower eye. Let's build. I'm first gonna make sure that this will work, then I will come and tell you what's going on here. Okay, and yeah, I will have this error because yeah. Okay, to hell with Unity. I can't now understand what's going on. Okay, Dragui, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I need to comment this line for time being. Build. Go back so that everything loads itself again. Oh, come on. Okay, it won't cooperate with me. So whenever you enter in some sort of this condition, it means only one thing. You need to go to your project, assets, editor, not here, buzz, graph editor, and delete this guy. And then into here and resources, database, and delete this guy. Because I changed the, you see that now that's cooperating. Because I changed the way the node would have parameters and access those parameters, it was yelling at me that, hey, there is something null there. And that's the only way I found to solve this situation without pulling your hair. So T, create, and test, and we get null points. Okay, finally got it working. Now, here is the thing. I feel like this is really unnecessary. First of all, graph schema. Not graph schema, node schema. Sorry. The icon should be non-serialized. I found this answer somewhere that was really interesting. If I find it, yeah. The guy is asking if he can serialize a texture 2D into a XAML file, okay, or in player prefs. Well, in my case, player prefs doesn't change anything. Basically, he is asking if he can serialize it. Now, he is doing something, and here is the answer that I was working. Texture 2D is a reference to another object, but that object will not serialize. Okay, so what I got doing is when I'm doing the initialize on my node, I'm reading the resource and then encoding it to PNG. Encode to PNG returns a byte array that is the image itself, but it's a byte array, so it can be serialized. Now, when I'm going for the schema GUI, I'm checking if the icon is null and the icon byte array is not null and its length is greater than 0. Then I say icon equals new texture, the size doesn't matter, and then load image. And that's it. And then the rest is the same, just here I'm checking the lowercase icon. And the result is that now I have this. If I close Unity and rerun Unity, take a look. The icon is showing up properly now, okay? And of course, I'm serializing a big byte array here. If I choose to open this guy, Unity will freeze. And after a few seconds, you see this, okay? 30,000 array of bytes being serialized, and of course, it's a huge size. So these are pixels, don't forget that, okay? And fortunately, we are doing it inside the schema. So when we are building our array, building our game, this will be dropped. It won't be included inside the game. So the size of this array doesn't matter at all. Okay, back to the code again so that we can recap what we had fixed in this video, although my intention, come on, behave, was to, come on, this byte array is bothering me a lot, so delete, thank you. So I was trying to go for the properties, but I noticed that bug when the icons were not showing up. Apparently, the resources returns a type mismatch for the texture 2D, and that won't be serialized. So what I ended up doing is that I converted our icon from being a texture 2D to a byte array. And then I have a non-serialized private field of texture 2D with lowercase icon. When I'm initializing my class for each node, instead of just reading the texture, I'm encoding into PNG, and that will return a byte array to the uppercase icon. When I'm going for the node schema GUI, on top of everything, I'm checking if the lowercase icon that is texture 2D is null, and if we have byte array and the size of byte array is greater than 0, means that I at least have 1 byte, then I'm creating the new texture and loading the texture. And then when I was drawing the icon, instead of capital I, I'm using lowercase I, both in checking the null and in drawing the image, and now everything is behaving, okay? And the good thing, as I mentioned, is that byte array, come on, that byte array is sitting inside the schema. So when I'm building the game, this guy will be dropped. Why it's being dropped? Because it's an editor folder and I don't need anything to do with it. Okay, it will be dropped so that this icon byte array, that extra data is not needed, and then, well, to hell with it. And you already see that again I created an icon texture 2D, but it says type mismatch. It's non-serializable, so I don't care anymore. The one that I'm carrying is this icon, and this is the serializable one, that is byte array, and well, that problem is fixed. And one thing that I was doing in the middle of the everything is that after deserialized, I was calling the initialize. Well, we don't need it anymore because the byte array is being serialized properly. Okay? Although I can just take this part from here, so instead of doing every time this check, I can move it here and put it here and on after deserialized. This should behave properly now. Again, as you see, it's getting deserialized and it's here. If I close Unity, if I come back, if I load my solution, oh no, it's not working. It's not working. Okay, so back to hell. We need to do this check every time on the GUI. I thought when you run the Unity, it will run the deserialize. Anyway, no worries. So yeah, we fixed that error. In post edit, I'm sure I had fast forwarded between the tries I had, or maybe we had a cut and paste. But as I said, I went into the details of changing this guy to byte array and this guy and the initialization and then the node schema GUI. Those are the only needed edits to fix that problem with the GUI itself. As you see, it's not showing up. If I rebuild, the GUI will read that byte array and recreate the texture for me, and everything is now working. Have fun, everyone. Bye-bye.